is the movement or measurement of the light through the void of deep, dark, cold space from one point or distance to another. The cosmic cultural spirituality of time, the divine mathematics of time, the sacred science of time. Star Time on Crumb TV.
Hetepu, Hetepu, Duwa, Duwau, Nazareth Ramech, E.M. Hotep. Greetings and divine greatness, divine excellence to the first families, to my Nagas, my Shemsa Harus, my Nesubitis, my Mutnatarts, my Sebas, my Sba-ts, the immortal ones of Maat, cherished, phenomenon of procession, new age order, great golden age of Maat Hapi Asar, and to all of you who are with us today, and to all citizens, descendants of the Nile Valley Cultural Cosmic Collective Consciousness Spirituality. O AstMaatTfNut Panebu, mother of the Netrus, mistress of Pet, maker of mankind. She who is mighty in Usumedu Nefer, divine words of power, mother of all initiations. We ask that you bless us humble servants for Ankh life now present. We seek the counsel of the ancient ones and practice daily the ancient Maatian ways and ancient Maatian truths. We strive evermore to become one with thee in this world and in the existence to come. We ask that you bless us on this, the 34th day after the Helical rising, 326 days remaining until Helical rising, Ubin Sba-t, Sba-t Cyrus rising, Upuat Smai Tawi, Wet Rinpet Digit Heb, 4th Haru day of Twamutef, 34th Haru day, first month of Jehuti, 4th Haru day, second Abet month, first season of Shamu, AFNK/ST after founding of New Kemet, Naga Kemet, Smai Tawi, Rinpet year number 10, phenomenon of procession, new age order, great golden age of Maat Hapi Asar. We ask that you bless our families and friends and all those of us who gather together to worship in your most holy, sacred, and ancient Tamarian name of AstMaatTfNut Panebu. Rising always in divine excellence. Ra never touch Ra with Maat all day, every day. Dua, Duau. And Seba, if you would at this time, present your Hesi and tell everyone who you are and where they can find you. Dua, Duau.
Dua, Duau, Paratapu Pamaat, Onkwas Dejet, Onkuja Seneb, Ubenafikia Panebu Haru Maati, rising always in divine excellence with Maat every day, all day. I'd like to welcome everybody to the second series of the Precious Treasure, Immortality, and it is sponsored by the Naga Ship Association and the Nagatian Institute of Cosmic Awareness, Spiritual Consciousness, and Universal Enlightenment. Anuk Ptah Sikasar. My name is Ptah Sikasar. I am the Royal Scribe, Master Craftsman, and Keep Up Tep Time of Teshipara, and the Chief CEO of the Naga Ship Association and the Nagatian Institute of Cosmic Awareness, Spiritual Consciousness, and Universal Enlightenment. We'd like to welcome you back to our second episode. And as you know, last week we dwelled upon the concept of self-creation and how it relates to you and your path to immortality. Today we're going to break things down more simpler into a layman's terms so that everybody can grasp the comprehension of how to assess time and its relationship and how they stole our time and how that Now we are under a spell every day that we cannot function as properly as the pure monarchs of this planet. So what we're going to do is we're going to fluctuate and begin to move first frequency specifically. In order to do that, let me begin by performing my Hesi, my Saku, my affirmation, so I may command the cosmic forces that allow us love, guidance, and protection through the daily experiences of ponderable matter, and to command the Usa Medu Nefe Hekau, so I may ask the ancestors for permission to speak, the Neterus, and the ancient ones. So I shall begin. Hetepu, Hetepu, Dua, Dua, Duau, Nanezarek, Ramech, Hotep. Greetings in divine greatness, divine excellence to the first families. My Nagas, my Shemsurus, my Nesubitis, my Hemets, my Sba-t, my Mutatats, the immortal ones of Maat, cherished, phenomenon of precession, new age order, great golden age of Maat Asar, and all citizens, descendants of the Nile Valley cultural cosmic collective consciousness spirituality. O AstMaatTfNut, the mother of the Neterus, the mistress of Pet, the maker of mankind, she who is mighty in Usa Medu Nefe Hekau, divine words of power, mother of all initiations, bless us humble servants for Ankh, life now present, for we seek the counsel of the ancient ones and practice daily the ancient Maatan ways and ancient Maatan truths. We strive evermore to become one with thee in this world and in the existence to come. We ask that you bless us on this, the 34th day of the year after the Helical rising. 326 days remaining until Uben Suptit Cyrus rising, Upawat, Samatawi, Wetrenpet Dejid, the 34th day of the first month of Jehuti, the 4th day of Tuamutep, the 4th day of the second month of the first season of Shemu, year number 10, AFNK/ST, after the founding of New Kemet, Naga Kemet, Samatawi, phenomenon of precession, new age order, great golden age of Maat Asar. We ask that you bless our families and friends and all those of us who gather together to worship in your most holy, sacred, and glorious ancient Tamari name of AstMaatTfNut, Panebu, for in the art of seeking you, there is much comfort. So as it is spoken, so let it be written, so let it be done, so shall it be, for now and forever forward. Ra Nebateshara, Panata Apu Pamaat, Uncle Stejet, Uncle Jasaneb, Uben Nepi Kia Panebu Ruma Ati, rising always in divine excellence with Maat, every day, all day. Dua, dua, dua. So that is how we frequencize ourselves and connect ourselves to the first frequency, specifically by addressing the ancestors with the proper Hesi, with the Usa Medu Nefe Hekau, divine words of power, and mathematically aligning ourselves to the star Suptit and the constellation of Orion, with the sun, Ra, and the moon, and the planet Earth from which we stand, which we call Seb. We are triangulating ourselves to encapsulate ourselves into this first frequency specifically, and connecting ourselves to the cosmic environment, into the fabric of the universe, through the solar cycles. So the next thing we have to do to perform our divine birthright of immortality and to grasp these first frequencies, we have to learn how to eat properly, to eat only of the seed. So we shall begin our next part of these segments here with the golden Nagaship rules of the livet. It's called the livet, not the diet. We have not a diet because the etymology has been corrupted again through the Hellenization, and you become Hellenized and lobotomized by producing these verbal resonance come out of your voice. Okay, so what you want to do, you want to grasp onto the livet. So the livet is that there are 5 golden rules. These 5 golden rules begins with rule number 1. Eat only of the seed. If it doesn't have a seed, do not put it in your mouth. The only thing that you put in your mouth that doesn't have a seed is water. Rule number 1, eat only of the seed. Remember, the food you eat should be as the air you breathe. In with the good, out with the bad. So rule number 1, eat only of the seed. Rule number 2, never eat and drink at the same time. Do not mix your solids with your liquids. When you do, you create an acidy brew, and the stomach and the body begins to bloat. And when it begins to bloat, everybody begins to become disproportionate. Everybody's got big bellies. Everybody's losing their hair because you're eating his food. Do not eat that food. You have to eat foods that are living food. Drink living water. Okay. Rule number 3 is eat as the table earth prepares the food, from the vine, from the tree, or from the ground. That's rule number 3. It's only coming from 3 sources. Rule number 4 is eat as the table earth prepares the food. That means do not overcook your food. Rule number 4, I'm sorry, that's rule number 3. Rule number 4 is never eat to your fill. Don't glut yourself. Don't eat everything in the room, because when you eat past your fill, you shut down the body. The body has to rest. You have to sleep. It puts your body to sleep. And rule number 5 is to fast occasionally. For certain periods of the year, you must fast to cleanse, purify, and detox, cleanse the body of all the impurities in which you have put it within it. And you should perform this task within the Sba-t Maat, the Ancient Rasaurian Calendar Solar Civil Lunar Calendar. You should do this during the seasons and the lunar cycles, depending upon how long you've been training. Okay, but most of all, you want to be doing it quarterly during the seasons, during the spring equinox, the autumnal equinox, the solstices, and equinox, and both the solstices. So that is closing in on the frequencies of waking up in the morning, on how you address yourself in the morning. As soon as you wake up, you have to address yourself with these Hesses in order to calibrate yourself. It's an algorithm, because the earth is always moving. Even though it looks like we're in the same spot, sun looks like it's in the same spot. It's never in the same spot twice. It's always moving. It's always rotating. It's always expanding. It's expanding. It's rotating. Earth is rotating around the sun. The sun is moving through every sign of the zodiac to the phenomenal precession. And the phenomenal precession is moving around the big Milky Way galaxy, 250 million years, and the Milky Way galaxy is expanding the universe. So we're always in motion. Motion is a requirement in the separating of the collective energy contained within emotions code voids, such as Nu, the primary ocean, nothingness, dark energy, oblivion, or cosmological constant. So what we're going to do is break down this class today, or this lessons today. We'll break down the dynamics of the essence of the calendar, and we have prepared a audio CD recording for you. And this recording can also be purchased with the Rasaurian Khemetic Solar Civil Calendar 2020-2021 Crumb TV edition. And you receive the calendar, you receive the CD, audio CD, and you also receive a PDF copy of my book, The Cosmic Egg, aka The Primeval Germ, a journey of 59 plus 21 zeros. So I shall return it back to the great Queen Mother. And again, I am honored to be back on your platform again, Queen Mother Goddess. AstMaatTfNut. It is always my honor to be your servant. Atura.
Dua Usiba. So as you mentioned now, I'm going to play this audio CD that comes along with the autographed copy of the calendar and the PDF version of the Cosmic Egg. And Sba was sharing his calendar with you also. We'll be back in a few moments. Listen to this audio CD that Sba, Ptah Seeker Asar, has prepared for you.
These ancient African indigenous primordial Naga, Shemsaru, Nesubiti, Hemet, Sba-t, Udatat, the immortal ones of Maat, ancestral peoples were cosmically attuned. The knowledge of the stars is evident in the Ipeteru, Sba-t Maat, Ancient Rasaurian Khemetic Solar Civil Lunar Calendar, and the Meteorological Star Timeline. And you, fortunate listeners here today, will soon come to the realization that this understanding was omitted in the development of calendars of other cultures. In this short presentation, I have mentioned a few, and will now elaborate on those other calendars and reintroduce to you the Ancient Rasaurian Khemetic Solar Civil Lunar Calendar and its unique concept of star time. According to the New Book of Knowledge, a calendar is a system for keeping track of time. It is a kind of clock for the entire year. While a clock measures seconds, minutes, and hours of the day, a calendar measures the days, weeks, months of the year. This is the accepted definition of a calendar. However, in ancient Tameri, Tanisha, Taneferu, Tanechidu, Kemet, Naga, Egypt, the calendar is a seasonal time chart that was regulated and observed by understanding the precession of the stars. From a section entitled How the Modern Western Calendar Measures Time, the basic units of a calendar are day, week, month, and year. Our modern day calendar has 365 days, divided into 12 months, as well as 52 weeks, with one extra day. Each week has 7 days. These divisions of time are based upon the movement of the earth, moon, and sun. Where are the mention of stars? Our most earliest ancient African indigenous primordial ancestors star-dated everything. In the temple of Heru that was discovered by Napoleon's General de Saxe during the French intervention of African Egypt in 1798 AD, inside on a ceiling in an upper room, they found the zodiac of Dendra, starting with the sign of the lion, Sekhmet, Herukuti, Leo, during the spring equinox. This circular zodiac indicates a celestial alignment that occurred over 38,000 years ago, making it the oldest and most complete of any astronomical charts ever found on the earth. This zodiac of 12 astrological signs, written in an African dialect, demonstrates that it was a gift of superior black minds and supersedes accepted concepts that suggest that the Chaldeans or Babylonians were the originators of astrology and astronomy, and or that zodiac with its Latin names were the result of Roman efforts. Remember, zodiac in Latin means zoo. That famous gap always presents itself. Well, let me reassure you today, right now, that 38,000 years ago, there was no Europe or Rome, and there were no Hebrews or Greeks nor Babylonians. The zodiac can be observed within the squared center of the Rasaurian solar calendar. The alignment also indicates a time when the star Sba-t, Sirius, rose cosmically with Ra, our sun, under the sign of the great year Pisces, Set. This helical rising of two kindred stars occurs every 1,461 years and was in unison with the Apagamour days, or Renpet, the ancient Egyptian New Year's, and was known as the symbolic year, or year of years. Now, here was an ideal model of a 38,000-year-old calendar that was in perfect alignment with the sun, and it also was rejected. Why? Let us examine the information that is and was available. The ancient Egyptians conceived of a cycle that included day and night, and Tuat and Tuat. And these periods were awarded a certain amount of time. In the modern calendar, this cycle is called a day, the amount of time it takes the sun to rise, set, and then rise again. Each day includes a period of sunlight and darkness that was determined by the rotation of the earth and the position of the sun. The ancient Egyptians, of course, they gave names to these days, and this practice is still continued. In early calendars, a month was the amount of time it took for the moon to complete an orbit and undergo its cycles, recalling the very early calendars that were based upon the cycles of the moon, where each cycle of the moon takes 29.5 days. Compiling a calendar of 12 months would result in a year that is only 354 days long. The Romans, they had 10 months in their early calendar, which ended in the month of Tise, 10, which
which had the shortest of years. If we add 13, we arrive at 383.5 days. There is no correct solution if the moon is the principal inspiration. Today it is known that it takes 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds for the Earth to complete a revolution of the sun, which designates a year. This created a problem of what to do with the extra 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds. How can the extra time be taken into account? The European answer was leap year. To make up the extra time, 1 day is added to the calendar every 4 years. Because of this, many uncertainties have occurred, causing other cultures to create or retain their own calendar. From the zodiac, such as the one found at Dendra, the ancient Egyptians formulated the 10-month solar calendar. This understanding is reflected within the Rasaurian Khemetic solar civil lunar calendar, which introduces itself as a star chart that is derived from our most earliest ancient African indigenous primordial ancestors' concept of time and space. It would seem that a calendar can only be the results of celestial movement, be it moon or stars. It would please me very much at this time if everybody listening here today would consider this premeditation for a calendar. In the vernacular, outer space was the timeless void of darkness before the introduction of the light. Ra was the light, and as the light moved within the void, time was introduced. Our sun is a member of a trinity of suns that played major roles in the development of our quadrant of stars, planets, moons, and life forms. The word was given, and the 3 stars began to move apart from one another. Their names are Ra, Sirius, and Alcyone. As this separation occurred, the surface of each was lessened by great masses of viscous matter that seemed to escape into space, only to be captured by the gravitational pull of its inceptor. These 3 stars highlight much of what it is that we see today as we gaze upward and outward. Our view is restricted only by the natural alignment of our Earth and our northern hemisphere. From these bodies of light comes the makings of our zodiac, our solar system, and all the visible constellations. With this natural order as their grid, the 10-month solar calendar was fashioned. Our solar system has 10 heavenly bodies, 1 sun and 9 planets. Thus, they factored together a calendar of 10 months, each consisting of 36 days, 4 weeks in a month, 9 days in a week. They developed a system of 60 seconds to a minute and 60 minutes to an hour. This was done by adding the 12 miles a second it takes the sun to travel around Alcyone. Multiplied 10 times gave them 120 miles of movement in 60 seconds, until realizing that at each cycle of 60, a new star alignment occurred. Thus, the sidereal year was born. It came to be understood that a sidereal sighting of Sirius occurred annually at the same time. The sighting of Sirius provided the answers to the number of hours in one orbit of the Earth around the Sun, which is 8,766 hours. Armed with this information, a calendar could be accurately devised, consisting of 10 months of 36 days, 4 weeks in a month, 9 days in a week, and 8,766 hours in a year. What made the solar calendar so unique was its concept of time allotment, such as allotting 12 hours to the day and 12 hours to the night, and 35 minutes that were split between the Duat and Tuat, the latter being the periods between sunrise and sunset, respectively. This resulted in the sighting of familiar stars at a predictable and seasonal occurrence. Each day of the year was heralded by a star that gave identity to your significance, and in this way they related time and space and the stars. Every second was accounted for, and the natural order was observed. This produced the first of the ancient Egyptian calendars and was known as a solar calendar of 360 24-hour and 35-minute days in a year based on the sighting of stars. This is an understanding that went beyond the moon and allowed 100% accuracy. Now, I'm quite sure that many of you are asking the question,
Did our most earliest ancient African indigenous primordial ancestors relate or equate the moon to our calendar? Yes, strangely enough, in their own way they did. Jehuti, the teacher of Asar, was known as the Neter of the moon. It was under his instigation that the Jehutian calendar, consisting of 365 days, comes into being. Because of the strong effect that the moon displays in other calendars, they are without a doubt derived from this system. The story continues in classic ancient Egyptian pageantry that weaves fact with fiction and theories that involve the movement of the stars. It was after the earth was saved from the insects and the planet was ready for humankind that Ra had forbid the allotment of more time so that mankind could be born on the earth. Only within the existing order of time would life forms be allowed. All the other forms were created and surviving. Only mankind need be added to complete the 7 forms of life that are found on the earth. Seb, the earth Neter, petitioned Lord Jehuti, the moon Neter, to plead with Ra, the sun Neter, for an allotment of time, so that his mate Nut, the sky Netert, could give birth to the earth Neterus. But Ra was unrelenting. It was known that the great company of gods and goddesses would often gather and engage in games of chance. Ra was in need of someone to give names to all the forms of life which he had allowed to evolve. And in this way, his works would have meaning. You see, Ra was beginning to grow old from the billions and billions of years of existence. He found this task too tedious. A wager was arranged between Ra and Jehuti, with the winner indulging the other. Jehuti would name all the forms of life which Ra had allowed to evolve if he should lose. While should Ra lose, the 35 minutes that exist between the Duat and the Twat would be forfeited. In a wager that is known only to the great company of gods and goddesses, Lord Jehuti was the victor. He claimed this prize, the 35 minutes of time that he gained control of, leaving an exact cycle of 10 months, 4 weeks, 9 days, totaling 360. The 35 minutes, when multiplied by 360, totaled 5 1/4 days, added on to a year that still had 8,766 hours. The question now is, how could our most earliest ancient African indigenous primordial ancestors add 5 1/4 days and not have a leap year? This also clarifies the final usage of the moon in our calendar. If you recall that on the zodiac of Dendra, there are mention of the Apagamor days, or Renpet. These are the days that were gained by Lord Jehuti. The 5 1/4 days that were added on to the 360-day Earth orbit are the days that the Earth Neters were born. On the Ipeteru, Shabit, and Tuaru, Maat, they are visible in the month of Ptah, with the moon going through its phases, signaling the sighting of the star Sba-t and the 5 1/4 days of observance, until the stars align again, starting anew the year. These 5 1/4 days are accounted for by observance, prayer, meditation, fasting, festival, and observance. Every day of the orbit of the earth is accounted for in that singular revolution. There was no need of leap year. This is the understanding that was lost, stolen, and denied with the intervention of Julius Caesar and the Romans. It is obvious that the Romans dissected the Jehutian calendar, which is in use today, adding Latin names and interpretations and the concept of leap year. Remember, the word calendar originates from the Latin word calendae. The Ipeteru, Shabit, Heru, Pamaat, the ancient Rasaurian Khemetic solar civil lunar calendar, is all these calendars in one, with 3 versions that encompasses the message that was depicted on the ceiling of the ancient Egyptian temple of Heru in Dendra. In closing, I would like to say, in the words of our great divine AstMaatTfNut, paternal father, Asar Umnefakentiamenti, that within the whole of the universe, nothing is ever added and nothing is ever lost. This has been a www.ptahoriginals.com audio recording. Pa nata apupamaat, was dejet, kuja seneb, uben nafike pandebu heru maati, rising always in divine excellence with Maat. every day, all day. Atura Hotep. These ancient African indigenous primordial.
Hold on. Apologies.
You okay? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So in review, this is what we need to know. See, right now, everybody has all these understandings about time and the calendar, and we don't understand the primordial temple discipline of our ancestors. So, as the recording and review, as recording just said, the original calendar of humankind is called a solar calendar. And in a solar calendar, there are 360 days in a year. And it has 10 months in a year. Each month has 36 days. There's 4 weeks in a month, 9 days in a week, and there's 8,766 hours in a year. This is the divine mathematics, okay? Now, what they did was they came in and they found our spirituality and found a way to manipulate our time by giving us only a lunar cycle calendar to regulate ourselves with. Our original calendar was solar, sidereal, and lunar. Okay? The Ipeteru Shabit Maat gives you all three versions. Before the Romans and the Greeks, there were 9 days in every week, and time was kept by charting stars that were visible on our calendar. Aware of the movement of the earth, stars, and moon, these ancient African indigenous primordial ancestral peoples were cosmically attuned. So you all have to take down the Gregorian calendar from your wall. Now, we're selling calendars every day today, and everybody's saying, what I need a calendar for? The year doesn't start until January the 1st. You're still on Gregorian time. The calendar, we're only 34 days into the year. Today is the 34th day of the year, which means that there are 326 days remaining, because this is how we line ourselves with the helical rising of Sba-t. So understanding, so when the helical rising of Sba-t, the mathematical equation at the beginning is 8,766 hours. If you Google sidereal time, it's going to tell you the time it takes for the star Sba-t to break the plane, to break the horizon, to traverse the elliptic plane, and return to its original position in respect to the fixed stars is a sidereal year. It takes 8,766 hours. This is what brings, that's your foundation, right? It's a mathematical foundation. Remember, this is primordial temple discipline. So we have to keep triangulating. This conversation will keep triangulating. We jump from sacred, the divine math, to the sacred science, to our cultural, cosmic, collective conscious spirituality. This is esoterical and esoterical. This is the metaphysical embracement that you must grab onto. And to have astrology and astronomy, this gives us absolute accountability and star validation. So in review, the original calendar of mankind is only 360 days in a year. That's because the earth rotates on its axis at 24 hours and 35 minutes. Show them the schematic, please, Queen Mother, of the rotation of the earth. The earth has three motions. It rotates on its axis. It takes 24 hours and 35 minutes. The original, right there, the original calendar of mankind has 24 hours and 35 minutes, which means that it takes, the second motion is the earth revolving around the sun. Now, on this cycle, the mathematical equation is 360 days. Okay? So now, but it's still, the annual orbit is still 8,766 hours, because there's 24 hours and 35 minutes in every day. The second calendar is the Jehusian calendar. It was in this calendar because the first calendar is a solar calendar of 360 days. It's a perfect calendar. There's just one problem. We don't exist. There are only 6 forms of life on the planet: plant, insects, reptiles, water creatures, birds that fly, and animal. Man and woman has not yet come upon the planet yet, because time has not been allotted for them. As the text says, Seb petitioned Lord Jehuti to plead with Ra for the allotment of time, because Seb and Nut, the sky and earth, wanted to have children. And we know this because now we have to apply this generically through ponderable matter to the nature or to the cosmic forces, solids, liquids, and gases. This is Nut and Seb. Okay? The only thing that separates these two is light. Now, when you see this picture, anybody trained within the temple would know that there are 365 days in a year. How do you know there's 365 days? Because there's nobody in between separating them. Show them the picture that they'll see in Medunetta, they go to Kemet, this picture here, or in similar ones. Sometimes you have Shu separating them, there's Shu there. Sometimes you have Heka. Sometimes there is an attendant that would, even Ra himself is separating the two children. Exactly. So when you see this picture of something separating Seb from Nut, then that means there's only 360 days in a year, meaning that the Earth is rotating at 24 hours and 35 minutes. Today, the Earth rotates at 24 hours. So there's 365 days in a year. So you have to begin to comprehend the motions of the Earth and how our ancestors were relaying this information upon a frequency so that you can attune yourself to the frequency so that you can connect yourself to the cosmic and the universal environment. So the original calendar is 360 days, 24 hours and 35 minutes. Now, the only thing that separates the sky from the Earth is light. And so in the morning, when the sun rises, you see the sky. But when in the evening, when they call it Atum Ra, in the morning it's called Ra Atum because the sun is rising. And when the sun descends, when it passes, it travels through a cycle and it descends into Amenti or the west, we call the sun Atum Ra. Atum Ra means farewell. And so at this time, when the sun is in Atum Ra, the sky and the sun sets and the darkness comes, the sky descends upon the earth because now you see stars, right? And then in the morning, the sun rises and the sky comes up. The firmament, the celestial firmament we call Nut, rises above us. And now we see the sky. We don't see stars. But the stars are still there. Why don't you see them? So you have to ask yourself these questions so that you can attune yourself to our cultural spirituality. This is not spookism. This is science. This is sacred science. This is divine math. This is our cultural, cosmic, collective consciousness spirituality. We have astrology and astronomy, and we have absolute accountability and star validation. Remember, definitive answers require definitive explanation and star validation. So now, in the text it says, Jehuti wagered with Ra for an allotment of time, because time has already been allotted for. There's no room for us on the planet because time's already allotted for. So there's 24 hours and 35 minutes, and 35 minutes is split between the duat and the twat, which is sunrise and sunset. You know, you got dawn and dusk. Our ancestors equated every second of sunlight. And so we separated into the duat and the twat, between dawn and dusk, or evening and daybreak. So at this time, there's only 6 forms of life. So Jehuti wagered with Ra, and Ra wanted somebody to name all the forms of life, as it is said in the text. He wanted somebody to name all the forms of life which he had allowed to evolve, so that his works would have meaning. And Jehuti said, well, if I win, I want the extra 35 minutes that exists between the duat and the twat. So it says in the text, in a wager that is known only to the great company of Netarus, gods and goddesses, Lord Jehuti was the victor. He claimed this prize, the 35 minutes of time he gained control of, leaving an exact cycle of 24 hours, 10 months, 9 days, 4 weeks, totaling 360. When the 360 days he took and he multiplied it by 35 minutes, and he came up with 5 extra days. And on these 5 days are the days that the earth Netarus are born. And of course, show them the schematics, Queen Mother God of the firstborn. This is the beginning of the Jehushan calendar of 365 and a quarter days. The firstborn is Heru. Heru has the body, is personified on a human body. The one before that, that's Asar. Heru is personified with the human body with the head of a hawk and the head of Set, right there. That's Heru. Most people don't even know that Asar has an elder brother. They think the children, Nut only had 4 children. But if Nut had 4 children, then there'd be 364 days in a year, which now the mathematic has been corrupted. Like you would see in Asar Set society. If you look at their doctrines, you see that Nut only has 4 children. Most people don't know that study Medunetta or the Egyptian cosmology don't even understand that Heru existed first. He has the head of Heru and the head of Set personified on one human body. And so symbolically, he represents universal dualism. He represents the day and the night. He represents the earth spinning, because in the beginning, the earth didn't rotate. And that meant that the plants would not grow because the insects were killing all the plants. So Ra had to make the earth he had to make the earth rotate. When the earth rotates day and night, now you have your time to be awake and a time to be asleep. Okay? So now, and Heru represents the Horian light and the Sethian light, because you have two lights. Ra is one light that has two forces. One force will give you life, like photosynthesis, makes the plants grow. But too much sun, too much heat, like in the desert, will kill you. You go out in the desert with not enough water, believe me, you're not coming back. That's called a Sethian light. The Sethian light will take life from you, and the Horian light will give you life. And then the next born was Asar. Asar, and Heru was not born in flesh, blood, earth, and water, fire, earth, air, water. Heru represented universal dualism. He represented the earth spinning. This is the laws of universal dualism. The two key players there are radiation and light. Within the universe, these two supply it with heat and movement. Radiation and light are the forces that allow uniform expansion and are the reasons why the universe is expanding. They are mirrored images of each other, different only in their limitations. Without an understanding of these two forces, the universe is without explanation. So we have to comprehend the forces of Heru, the firstborn of Nut, begotten of Seb. The next born is Asar, Asar Unefa Kentiamenti. He is our paternal father. Like anybody that believes in monotheism or any Adamic ideology that believes in monotheism, their paternal father is Abraham. Abraham is their paternal father. I don't care if you're Muslim, if you're Jewish, if you're Christian, everybody who believes in monotheism, the belief in one supreme deity or one God, their paternal father is Abraham. This is our paternal father right here. His name is Asar Unefa Kentiamenti. And these 5 children are the first ancestors. These are the first ancestors that were here. Okay? Now, Asar has another younger brother, and his name, he's the third born, his name is Sut, or Set. Of course, many of you might know the story of how Set killed Asar after Asar traveled around the world to bring immortality and the concept of doctrines of immortality and the doctrines of Maat and the concept of self-creation to the globe, to the whole world. And when he came back, Set conspired to kill him, and he did, and he dismembered his body and so on and so forth. But that's another story within our pageantry. But let us continue. After Set came, the Queen Mother Goddess Ast, or AstMaatTfNut Panebu, the mother of Neterus, who we design our Hesi to today. And of course, Ast had another sister. Her name is Nebhet. Nebhet means Nebt means the lady or mistress, and Het means the temple. She's the mistress of the temple. She is really, truly, originally the mother of all initiation. Of course, Ast took over that one, because we call AstMaatTfNut, the mother of Neterus, the mistress of Pet, the maker of mankind. She was mighty Usamedun Nefer, mother of all initiation. But she shares that with her sister. That's Ast there. Nebhet, Ast always has the red throne on her head. That is her symbol. And of course, the next picture will be Neb's head. And you'll see the Neb, see the Lord, see the Neb symbol at the top, and the head, the temple on the crown of the head. And that's Nebhet. So she is the mistress of the temple. Now, these 5 Neterus indicate that now we have a solar sidereal calendar. And of course, the lunar cycle is always incorporated within it. It is always there, because within the lunar cycle calendar is how we have an agricultural calendar. It's how we grow crops. So that's always included. So what they did was academia, or the Hellenistic paradigm doctrines of Indian humanity, why you don't understand how to tell time and why you don't have the proper frequency, is they took you away from the solar and the sidereal, because they disconnected you from the cosmic, invisible, and biblical cord, which runs from the Milky Way galaxy. You see it at night. It connects you from here to the Milky Way galaxy, to that black hole, to become products of light, which begin to expand the universe, which is your divine birthright of immortality. It all is connected within time. And the properties of time is the calendar, or the Ipeteru, or the Sba-t Maat. So now these 5 children represent our connection. Remember, we're triangulating. We have sacred science, we have divine mathematics, and we have our cultural, cosmic, collective conscious spirituality. You always triangulate anything that has to do with our cultural, cosmic, collective conscious, our spirituality, and the culture of our spirituality all through antiquity. It's always related scientifically, mathematically, and with our cultural, cosmic, collective conscious spirituality. We add astrology and astronomy. Remember, we have absolute accountability and star validation. So now this is how we connect it. So we know that on the Gregorian calendar, on July 20th or July 19th is the 360th day of the year, meaning the earth has went around the sun on a 360-day cycle, because we monitor ourselves under the solar cycle aspect. But we integrate the Jehushan part because we remember it's a mathematical equation. This isn't spookism. This is a mathematical equation. This is divine mathematics. And this is sacred science. So we know the earth has 3 motions. It rotates on its axis 24 hours and 35 minutes in every day under the 360-day cycle of the second motion, or 24 hours in every day, which makes it 365 days and a quarter day, 365 and a quarter days for the earth to go around the sun. So the first movement of the sun is it rotates on its axis. The second movement, it revolves around the sun. And the third motion is that the earth is tilted 23.5 degrees from vertical, which makes the earth, as it rotates, it makes it wobble. And this one wobble is 26,000 years. It's called the phenomenon of precession. Are you with me, Queen Mother Goddess? Do you have a schematic for us? There we go. Okay. So that line going down the middle is called the vertical line. And that vertical line, the earth is tilted, is the 23.5 degrees. So right there you see the 3 motions of the earth. So the third motion is the moon, you have the first motion is earth rotating, the second motion is earth revolving, and the third motion is it's tilted 23.5 degrees from vertical, which makes it wobble. And that one wobble is 26,000 years. And this is called the phenomenon of precession. This is what this whole conversation is leading to. You have to always understand that you are connected. You are tethered to the phenomenon of precession, or the precession of equinox. This means you are moving through each and every sign of the zodiac. There's 12 signs of the zodiac. Each sign is 2,160 years. 2 times 12 is 24, and 100 is 25. And so many odd years, it comes out to 26,000 years. So this is how we have to relate to this mathematically, so that we understand that we have a higher consciousness. This is cosmic awareness, spiritual consciousness, and universal enlightenment. So now you can applicate this and connect. So everything I'm telling you, you already know.
You sound like you whispering. I think your audio's been no, just altered. Something happened. Did you move something maybe? Okay. I was in the PowerPoint, so I'm gonna see what happens. But yeah, your audio's different. It's not the same. I can hear you and understand you, but it's not the same.
I'll take a break real quick. I'll leave the room and come back in while you bring clarity to what I just spoke of to the audience, to the Ramets, to the family.
Yes, Sba. That's right. All right. So Sba has spoken about triangulating. So you'll always want to make sure you do that. So he spoke of scientifically, mathematically, and cultural, cosmic, collective consciousness, spirituality, which I put in the comments here. And Sba is back with us now. He is drinking his water, getting his voice together, because if his audio's right, he's coming back strong. So let's
1, 2,
bring him
3.
in right now.
Good.
That's perfect. There you go.
Ekir means excellent. Nefir means divine or beautiful. Ekir, Nefir, Mutnatat, Mother Goddess. Panata Pamaat, Uncle Stajet, Uncle Giles Neb, Uben, Nefikir, Panaburu Maati. So everybody gets it back again. Remember, at the beginning of the end of the recapping what we just heard on the audio, we know that the original calendar has 360 days in a year, which maintains the rotation of the movement of the earth. It rotates on its axis. It revolves around the sun 360 days. And then the sun moves through each and every sign of the zodiac. This is called the phenomenon of precession, or the precession of equinox, because the earth is tilted 23.5 degrees from vertical, which makes the earth wobble. One complete circle on this wobble is 26,000 years. Now, all of our ancestors, every ancient architectural megalithic monument on this planet was designed by us. It was a geopolymer architectural monuments. Okay, the masonry was geopolymer, meaning it was earthquake resistant. Okay, they was able to cast stones, megalithic stones, 100-ton stones were fabricated, was manipulated through the rocks, and they're talking granite, we're talking limestone, we're talking geodite, we're talking some of the hottest stones on the planet. And we erected each of these megalithic architectural wonderful monuments to the celestial axis. So we knew that, like the pyramid, the Merku in Kemet, we know that the star shafts of the Merku, show the ones with the Merku, the pyramid, and the star shaft, these are celestial alignments. And each one of these megalithic monuments are all orientated to the southeast, to the constellation of Pleiades, to the constellation of Orion, and to the star Sba-t, and to Ra in the southeast. This measures the Earth going around the sun. This is the annual orbit. And then on the northern part of the pyramid, Merku, of the Great Pyramid, the star shaft points to, the northern star shaft points to the circumpolar stars, which are Polaris, Vegan, Theban, and Draco. It's 6,500, 6,500, 6,500, and 6,500 to go through each one of these four. And that computes to 26,000 years. And then you would know where we're located on our quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy, which means where we're located on the phenomenon of precession, or what sign we're in. So, and then you would understand, once you understand how that points to there, then you know that on the spring equinox equated to the Gregorian calendar as March 21st, when day and night has equal light and darkness, is an equinox. On this day, on March 21st on the Gregorian calendar, if you look to the east before the sun rises, and if it's a clear morning, before the sun rises, whatever constellation is 23.5 degrees from horizontal, meaning this is horizontal, and you look up 23.5, that's 23.5 degrees. You look like that, look right up that line, whatever constellation is there is where we're located on the galactic plane of our quantum Milky Way galaxy, or what sign we're in right now. What great golden age. Right now we're in the great golden age, you know, as Aquarius, but in Medunetta, is known as Maat Asar. We just dawned upon Maat Asar because now when you see so-called, I'll just say Aquarius, you'd be more for since we're dealing with the novices and the laymen or the laypersons, then we see Aquarius or Maat Asar, but now there's Pisces at the bottom of the horizon. Pisces is no longer visible and will not be visible again for another 24,000 years. Whether you're here or not, it's not going to be on the horizon of the spring equinox. Okay? What's going to be there is Maat Asar, which is Aquarius, that you know is AKA also known as Aquarius. So now this means that the circle at the top of Pisces is a circle, it comes down into a V. That circle fell below the horizon on December, show the schematic for December the 12th, 2012, December 21st, 2012. The sun passed through the middle of the Milky Way galaxy. There it is right there. At this moment right there, I can put my hands down now. At this moment right here, the sun is passing through the middle of the Milky Way galaxy, indicates that the constellation Pisces fell below the horizon, and we are now in year number 1. So some of us are still hung on to the old beliefs that this is 6,200 and something Sma-t. It's impossible to even think that this is 6,200 and something Sma-t, because you just use the Gregorian chronological timeline to count backwards. You use the slave master's mathematical equation to count backwards to find your origin. It's impossible. He's not going to lead you to your origin. So for anyone to tell you that this is 6,200 something Sma-t, it just doesn't know, or is deliberately leading you down the wrong path. I try to think that they just don't know, because I know we're all suffering from some form of PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome. Okay, now in the 60s, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, even the year 2000, I could say we'll give you a pass. But this is a new age order. How can you not know how to tell time? The first thing you teach your children in the morning is what time it is. You know you got to send them to school. You know where you're going. You're going to the plantation. You got to go to work. She might be Friday. It might be that Gregorian Friday. You're trying to get a paycheck. So you know the essence of time. So what they did was they stole your time. They took away your memory. With that Gregorian calendar that you have on your wall. You have to take down that Gregorian calendar. You have to take that watch off your arm, because that watch is GMT and UTC, Greenwich Mean Time and Universal Time Coordinated. That's Stonehenge, England. So you got a watch on your arm. You got a Rolex. Listen, Ptah, my watch costs $25,000. I'm not taking my watch off. Hey, you enjoy being a slave. That's on you. I'm only here to deliver a message. I can take you to the primordial ocean of nothingness, but I cannot make you drink the water. And I'm not trying to make you drink the water. I'm only here for those who have an eye to see, an ear to hear, and an understanding heart that has Maat and the Ha'at. It's popping on a proper frequency. This is just a basic tutelage here for the laymen who are trying to understand the calendar. We want to break down the calendar and its components, which we're going to do in a minute. This is just the first part of the hour. We're on for 2 hours. So the first part of the hour is just to break down, I want to present to you the layman's term in the audio recording, so that everyone that has a calendar should have that audio recording, because that audio recording comes with every purchase of the Rasaurian Khemetic Lunar Calendar, and it comes with a PDF copy of my book. So those of you who are listening now who don't have a calendar, I'm trying to give you a clue, because most of the people have the calendar. I've sold over 100,000 of them, so I'm trying to make sure that everybody who has one knows how to. People say, but I can't read this. You know what I mean? So I'm breaking it down, because it's a 3-in-1 solar civil lunar calendar, and each month has a Shrek on it, which denotes the Gregorian calendar month the year, because I superimposed the Gregorian calendar right on top of our calendar to make it a practical calendar for everyday life, until you're able to acclimate yourself back into the proper frequency, until you can gravitate yourself. Because right now, listen, Ptah, I got 7 days a week. I'm trying to get paid. I mean, what does the calendar mean to you? It's only it's a commodity. It's a commodity of equity. And all they do is they feed you poison with it. They feed you every essence of that calendar is designed to bring about your demise. You go to the 4th of July cookouts, and you eat that meat, you eat that flesh. After the 4th of July, you got Labor Day. Oh my goodness, you pal. And then after Labor Day, what you got? I have no idea. But how do you know the months of the year on a Gregorian calendar? You got 31 days, you got 30 days, and you got one that's 28, and sometimes it's 29. How do you know? You have to sing a nursery rhyme. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, except for February, it's 28, and 29 on leap year. That's how you know. They make you sing a nursery rhyme. That's called a perpetual calendar. And that's a scholar term for a calendar that keeps movement. In other words, on January 1st, 2001, if it's on a Sunday, 2020 is on a Monday, 2021 is on a Tuesday, 2022 is on a Wednesday, 2023 is on a Thursday, and 2024 is on a Saturday because you got a leap year and it jumps a day. This is so the star that's in the sky at your birth is no longer there on your birthday. They designed a way to take away the star of your birth. So you got a Gregorian calendar. You think, oh, today's it's not your birthday, especially if you're older than 10 years old. If you're older than 10 years old, it's not your birthday. After the 7th cycle, that star, it has either descended or it's already passed. That's called a perpetual calendar. Ours is perennial. It's just Latin words, Latin and Greek. That's all we know is Latin and Greek. Google the word perennial. Perennial. P-E-R-R-I-A-L. Perennial. E-L. Just go. Once you put that in, predictive text is going to come up with the word you're looking for. And you'll see that means it's fixed. It's stationary. Our solar civil lunar calendar is perennial, meaning the star that was in the sky at your birth, when the earth comes back around again, it's going to be there on your birthday or your Mesu Neferu Heru, your divine birthday. Okay? So this is what they do. They have Hellenized us. So to understand that, like we did in last week's show, in last week's segment, we went through that. The Ancient Humanity, how we became Hellenized, lobotomized, how we became mental, physical, spiritual, subjugated slavery. And so we know, let me see it for a minute. Someone's trying to communicate. Let me make sure I'm not missing the conversation. Okay. So now we know how to connect ourselves, because now on July 19th, remember? On July 19th, we know that the Earth has made a 360-day orbit. Yet the star doesn't appear for another 5 days. This is where the 5 extra days come from. On these 5 extra days that the Earth Natures were born from the womb of Nut and begotten of Seb, they're really not accounted for in the calendar. These are accounted for by festivals, celebration, fasting, meditation, and observance. Every day of the Earth's orbit is accounted for in this singular revolution. There's no need for leap year. We're accounted for each and every second of the light. The European answer, because they couldn't understand it. They had 10 months. They made 12 months. But the lunar cycle calendar is 12 months. And on the 12th month, that's 360 days. On the 30-day a month calendar, which is a lunar cycle calendar. Remember, any calendar that has 29 and a half days or 30 days, because it takes the moon 29 and a half days to wax and wane. So if you round it out to 30 days, that's called a lunar cycle calendar. The Khemetic calendar that you see today has a 30-day cycle. It has 3 seasons of 4 months. Each month has 30 days. 30, 30, 30, 30. 4 months is 120, 120, 120 is 360 days. A 12-month calendar. It's a 10-month calendar. Okay? But when the Greeks took it and they made it into a 12-month calendar. So with the 12-month calendar, you cannot have a perfect solution. We must come back to the 10-month cycle. And on the 10-month cycle, the mathematical equation is 8,766 hours. Would you like to add anything in there, Queen Mother?
No, Sba.
Okay, so as we begin to comprehend the mathematics, I understand I have to keep your mind moving. Mathematically, sacred science, and divine, cultural, cosmic, collective, conscious, spirit. You have to. This is metaphysics. If you're not performing these primordial disciplines, these disciplines are rooted deeply within our spirituality. So that we have sacred science, we have divine math, we have our cultural, cosmic, collective, conscious, spirituality. We're able to explain. Everything is accounted for. So we know that the Earth made 360-day orbit on July 25th or July 19th on the Gregorian calendar. The next 5 days, these are the days that the first ancestors were born. This is how we connect ourselves to our spirituality, because we know Heru becomes the 20th day. Asar becomes the 20th. Heru becomes the 20th day. Asar becomes the 21st day. Set becomes the 22nd day. As becomes the 23rd. And Nebhet becomes the 24th. And on the 24th day, after the 24th day, when the sun rises, the star rises with the sun, indicating that our Earth has made one complete revolution around the sun, the annual orbit. And this mathematical equation is 8,766 hours. And this is what then they end up corrupting it, adding the lunar cycle calendar. So what they did to compensate, they added another month. They added a month, a 13th month, to put 5 days in. It's called an intercalendary month. They're just fabricating things just to make this mathematical equation, because they know they have you designed to be toe tagged. You're going to be toe tagged within 60 years if you're lucky, because of the food that you're eating. So you're not going to be able to tell your child what's really going on. So this is what we've been going through for the last 4,000 years. For 4,000 years, they've taken away our time. And we can't regain control of the planet until we understand our cosmic time and our cosmic relationship to the universe. So within this cycle of 4,000 years, which we call Ancient Khemetic. So we're going to go right now. We're at the top of the hour. If anybody in the chat room has a question, Kwame, Dua Siba, Ancient Humanity, Panatapu Pamat. Anybody has any questions for me? I know I seem to be answering questions for you as we go along. What about the 36 deacons? Exactly. The 36 deacons equates to the 36 days in a month. We know there's 36 deacons in the sky, which correspond to the monthly cycle. There's 10 months in a year. Each month has 36 days. 10 times 36 is 360. It's always the 9. The 9 is the mother equation. The mother equation of all mathematics is 9, because you go 0, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, to plus 9 infinity, to 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 5, 6, minus 7, minus 9, to infinity. Okay? Infinity to infinity, attraction and repulsion. So now the 36 deacons adds into the mathematical equation, which solidifies your harmonious existence with the first frequency. So you got 10 months in a year, 36 days in every month, 4 weeks in a month, 9 days in a week, and 8,766 hours. That's what you have to find. You have to lay your foundations on the math. And then the math has to equate to the science. The science is the earth rotates, it revolves, it rotates on its axis, it revolves around the sun, and then it's moving around the phenomenon of precession, because the earth is tilted 23.5 degrees from vertical. And this is called the phenomenon of precession, or the precession of equinox. So the 36 deacons equates the mathematical equation for the phenomenon of precession. The conversation must return back to the phenomenon of precession. Now, as we spoke at the beginning, this is how you know to answer the age-old questions. What is the age-old question? Who am I? Where do I come from? Why am I here? And where am I going? These are the questions you need to be able to answer for your children. They say, Daddy, Mommy, who am I? Am I some shiftless nigga? Some worn out shiftless jigger? Are we really going to sing the Curtis Mayfield song? Or are you going to tell them, we are Shemsurus. We are born from the direct issue of Ra-Never-Teshira. We are the Nagas. We are the light ones, the ones who give immortality. We are the universal monarchs of this planet. We've been here for millions and millions of years. We are the givers of light and immortality. So who am I? Where do I come from? Why am I here? And where am I going? So it says, the text goes, many are the mysteries concerning the universe and the life within it. This is also true regarding the theories, laws that govern them. Who am I? Where do I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? All the known and unknown forces of the universe are of one origin. Necessity becomes the order by which these forces reveal themselves. Existence demands that energy be spent. Existence is realized by the expansion of energy that must have a source. In the case of our universe, life is always associated to heat and movement. But the energy that drives the entire universe is of the direct result of the self-creation of Ra Nebuchadnezzar radiation, which produces the phenomenon of attraction and repulsion along with the anomalies of heat and movement. So when we connect the mathematical equation in the 36 days, the 10 months, the 36 days in every month, the 4 weeks a month, the 9 days a week, 8,766 hours in a year, we have a solar sidereal lunar calendar. And how we connect this spiritually is on the 360th day, we celebrate the 5 birthdays of the Neterus, the ancestors, the first ancestors. And then on the last day, the star rises, because we know that these 5 children were born from the earth, begotten of the earth, Seb, and born from the womb of Nut. And Nut and Seb was born from Shu and Tefnut, which we now were explaining mathematically and scientifically. We're explaining solids, liquids, and gases, matter. We're explaining the elements. Scientifically, mathematically, when our culture spirituality is Shu and Tefnut came from the direct issue of Ra Nebuchadnezzar, who is the creator of all things. He is the he and the she, the mother and the father of all existence. And so we know this because it's in the pyramid text. It's in the Mastaba text. It's in the pyramid text. It's in the coffin text. And then the coffin text after the coffin, it's in the cosmology of Heliopolis, the Kemenu. It's on the Shabaka stone. It's on the Theban text. It's on the Book of Known Evolutions of Ra and Overthrowing of Pepi. It's all through the text. It's written on the front of the Herukuti or the Sphinx. As you know, as the Sphinx, the lion statue erected in front of the pyramid that you call the Sphinx is really Herukuti or Sekhmet. It's masculine and feminine properties. And in the middle of it, there's a stela. And this stela is called the Dream Stela. And on the Dream Stela, on the second register down, reading right to left, look in the middle, and you see the name of Nebuchadnezzar. Also, Nebuchadnezzar's name is mentioned all throughout our story, not history. This is our story. We're not here to talk about history. I'm here to talk about our story, to gain our divine birthright of immortality. And by understanding these names, which the Egyptologists that you study from, they know who Ra Nebuchadnezzar is. They know who Nebuchadnezzar is. His name is synonymous with the quintessential properties of all our teachings. His name, her name, because he embodied. I keep saying him. Forgive me. He is androgynous. Androgynous means that is a Greek word meaning he encompasses the feminine and masculine principles and energies. And so Ra Nebuchadnezzar's name is there, but no one seems to speak about it. They don't speak about Nebuchadnezzar. Why not? The Kemetic community don't speak about Nebuchadnezzar. Why are they hiding Nebuchadnezzar from you? Why are they hiding the true calendar from you? Why are they hiding the concept of self-creation? If you ask anybody today that's in the Kemetic community, who do they believe in? Where does your faith lie? What do you pray to? They don't know. The gods and goddesses, of course, okay, I can believe that. But can you be more specific? They don't know because they're all Googlers. They ain't never been to a temple. They do not know of the concept of self-creation. They don't know how to tell time. They're still giving you that calendar that has that phony Kemetic calendar with 30 days in it. The same calendar of a mathematical equation that the slave master gave you. It's math. It's sacred science. They do not think that you could count to 1 to 30. There's no way that you can believe that this calendar can give you a mathematical equation of 6,270 or 60 Sba-t. It doesn't make sense when all you have to do is look to the spring equinox on March 21st on that fraudulent Gregorian chronological calendar, and you look to the spring equinox on a clear sky in the morning, and before the sun rises, you look 23 degrees from horizontal, and you're going to see the constellation of Maat, Asar, which is Aquarius. And since Uncle Set's constellation of Pisces fell below the horizon, we know as soon as that star fell below the horizon that we are no longer in the great golden age of Pisces or Uncle Set. This is the great golden age of Maat Asar. This is also the age of the golden lotus. The golden lotus has blossomed, has bloomed. This only happens every 26,000 years. And it's there for you, the Ramet. You are the first families of this new age order of the great golden age of Maat Asar. So 2012 is year number 1. 2013 is year number 2. 2014 is year number 3. 2015 is year number 4. 16 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 2020 is number 10 because, no, 2019 is 10, but we go 6 months ahead because our New Year's is in July, not on January, and that's 2000. That's 10 years. So the year is number 10. How do we know the year is really number 10? How do you know the year is really 2020? To know that the year is really 2020, and you're a theologian and you have scholarship, and you Google AUC Aberbe Cordita, AUC Ab AB Urbe URBE Cordita CORDITA. Google it while I'm talking. Just Google it. Multitask, come on, let's go. And you're going to see that 754 AUC is called the first calendar reform. And that was Eratosthenes and Aristarchus. So now, if that's first calendar reform, and then the second calendar reform is 299 BCE, which is the Decree of Canopus 1, 2, and 3. And on the Decree of Canopus 1, 2, and 3, is the second, third, and fourth calendar reform, because remember, on that 30-day calendar, every 130 years, one unearned day is added to the calendar. So you're not going to see it in your lifetime. And your child and the next descendant is not going to see it. But 500 years down the road, the sun doesn't rise with the spring equinox. It drifts. And they keep letting it drift because they're gorging itself upon Africa and all of its resources and its women and its children and the slave labor. And each kingdom is having so much fun enslaving us that they keep forgetting to adjust the calendar until that day comes or that year comes when they plant the seed and nothing grows because they passed the time for planting the seed. They're planting the seed at the time the seed's supposed to be growing. The plants are supposed to be growing. They're over 60 days too late. That means there's no crops. That means everybody got to starve. Well, the royal people didn't starve, but most of the people, the peasants or the common people, they starved. So now someone has to say, well, what happened? That's hence calendar reform. Yes, dua, Facebook user, great mathematics. And so calendar reform. So now it got down to Julius Caesar, and he invades Egypt or Kemet when the Ptolemies, the end of the Ptolemy dynasties with Cleopatra, and he finds Sosthenes. Just Google Sosthenes, Sosthenes. Just Google Sosthenes, and you'll see that he's the vizier that was on that was there when Cleopatra was on the throne, and Caesar said, "Put me on the map." We went from 10 days, we went from 10 months to 11. We went from 9 days in a week to 8. Julius Caesar got assassinated in the Senate at Tu Brute, et Tu Brute. Et Tu Brute means you two Brutus. He went to the Senate, they stabbed him, he got assassinated. They told him, beware the Ides of March. But no, I conquered Egypt, I conquered Gaul, I saw, I conquer, Yavete, And so came Tiberius, then came Augustus Caesar. Augustus Caesar runs up on Sosthenes. He said, put me on the map. So we go from 8 days to 7. We went from 11 months to 12. I mean, common sense. Anybody that has a half a brain and you're supposed to be a scholar, how can you think that December is the 12th month and the Latin root word for dice is 8? I mean, it's 10. So if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is 10, so how can it be 12? Nueve is 9. So how can Nove be 11? November is your 11th month. How can Nove be 11th month when Nove is the Latin root word in etymology, and for all linguists knows that Nove means 9. We know that octo is the Latin root word for 8. It has octopus has 8 arms. An octagon has 8 sides. Octo is the Latin root word for 8. But yet October is our 10th month. What is this? You need like the country bumpkins out the Idaho cornfields. You just open up one of the cornfields. And, wow, it's like, is this what's going on? We taught the world how to read and write. How can you just go along with this? And he just keeps destroying your memory with the food you eat. So you don't even These are violations. He's violating you every day. Every time he teaches you is a violation. He's teaching you now. So now it's 10 months. I mean, it's October's 10. So now we got Sept. Sept is siete. Sept is 7 in Latin, but September is our 9th month. This is because of two historical figures. Of course, it's July is Julius Caesar, and August is Augustus Caesar. That's how they did it. And then they took us from 36 days in a month to 30 days. Then Caesar robbed 1 month of a day. So now this month became 31 days. Then Augustus took a month. He wants 31 days also. So this is February getting a bad one. So now February has 28 days. Okay? So they keep stealing from you. They stole your yesterdays. They're denying you your tomorrow. All you have is right now, this very moment. It's a frequency. It's called first frequency specifically. It's a vibration. This vibration permeates. And it begins with the word. And the word was energy. So then we have to go into Meduneta, because in the word Meduneta, name, your name is the mouth with the water sign. It's Ren. But if you reverse it and put the water sign on top, you got Ner. And Ner means energy. This is how the Meduneta works. So you know that the name is energy. And that energy begins, and that's going into the Zep-Tepi, but we don't go into the Zep-Tepi part today. We want to bring you back down to earth again and just get you to understand the theological terms. You're a theologian. You're supposed to know that. Everybody on the planet knows there's only 9 days a week. Everybody knows there's 9 days a week but you. Everybody knows there's 10 months in a year but you. That calendar is designed for mental, physical, spiritual, subjugated slavery to keep your mind incarcerated. And the first thing I see teachers do today, welcome to Sunday's class. They've got your own teachers teaching you how to be a slave. That's a violation. We're no longer accepting violations from these teachers anymore. I have not found one Kemetic teacher, not one Kemetic teacher has bought one of these calendars. Not one. I sell more calendars to the Ku Klux Klan, to the Japanese, to the Chinese, to the Arabs. I sell more calendars overseas than I do to my own people. Because they know this is true. And they're trying to find a way to manipulate it, but they can't do it because it's embedded deeply in Maat. It's embedded deeply into the concept of self-creation. And so they cannot cross that line because they will suffer the consequences of the powers to be of an idea whose time has come. This is an idea whose time has come. And it's going to overcome the forces of an idea whose time is not yet passed. They shall fall to the Shemsuaruz. Now they got these teachers calling themselves Shemsuaruz. They don't even know how to tell time. Anybody that doesn't know how to tell time is not a Shemsuaruz. Anybody that does not know the concept of self-creation is not a Shemsuaruz. And anybody that does not eat of the seed is definitely not a Shemsuaruz. Now, most of these people, they eat of the seed, but they don't know how to tell time. Where do I find the original calendar? You got it. I got it in my hand right now, Michael Johnson. This is the original calendar. It's a solar, sidereal, and a lunar. Now, if you want to Google Queen Mother Goddess, please put up the schematic with the Kemetic calendar of that 12-month calendar with all them Greek names on it. Here's a guy that wants to know the original calendar. Because when you Google, right there, you're going to go online, and that's what you're going to find. The Meduneta is correct. Everything else, the mathematical equation is off. Okay? The Meduneta is correct. So what you're always going to get is corrupted information. You get information, not one ancient doctrine existing today is not corrupted. Everything has been corrupted. It's been Hellenized and lobotomized. This is an agricultural calendar right there. This is what you're going to find when you Google an ancient Egyptian calendar. Okay? It's a great calendar, don't get me wrong. If you're trying to grow crops, if you're trying to feed yourself, that's the calendar you want. If you want to have immortality, you're not going to receive it with that calendar. That calendar will not give you immortality because it's based upon the cycles of the moon. And the cycles of the moon are only govern the inundation of the Nile, the rising, the inundation, the receding of the Nile. It can measure the woman's menstrual cycle. It can measure the birthing cycle. It can measure the high and low tides. But you cannot find immortality with the cycles of the moon. You need to have a combination in integer. Remember, we're here to have sacred science, divine math, and our cultural, cosmic, collective conscious spirituality. Okay? So the only way you can achieve this is with a solar, sidereal, and lunar cycle calendar. This is just the beginning of a series of discussions we are going to have. If anyone has a teacher, the Temple of Dendra, yes, Sba, Dua. If anyone has a Sba that wants to address me, I'm saying that all your teachers are phonies, that they do not know how to tell time, they do not know how to tell the concept of self-creation, and they do not, most of them, do not eat of the seed. But we're going to say they eat of the seed. Okay, so that means they're on the right way. So I'm not saying if they're eating of the seed, then obviously they're suffering from PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome. We have a great Sba who is my mentor. His name is Professor Leonard Jeffries. And in his teachings, he has the pyramid analysis. And in the pyramid analysis, he teaches you how not to be conquered or to suffer repercussions or to be captured by the paralysis of analysis. So all you're going to do when you go into study, you're going to have to be a scholar. And to be a scholar means that you're a student of Plato and Aristotle. Now, I have scholarship. It took me 50 years to design this calendar, 50 years. And I'm laying it on you with a plate. I laid it to the Sebas on the plate, to the Babas, to the Sebas, to the Mutnatats, all the greatest astrological teachers, all the great Sebas, and not one of them. They told me to lose their number. They said Ptah is no longer wanted in the Khemetic community. The Khemetic community has kicked me out of the Khemetic community. I don't even understand, but I don't even care. Because I'm a universal monarch. I'm universal. And we are universal. We are all universal. So I'm only here. This is not my calendar. This is yours. This is your Ipet Teru. Your Shabit Maat. Ipet. Ipet means to measure. Heru means day. Measurements of the day. And this means, this is one term of a calendar, which Riketia Men, Samaj-Ptah, and Methodisha, and so many others use the word Ipet Teru. We also have a term called Shabit Heru Pamaat. The Shabit is the shadow. And so when you come at it, when you begin to interpret the calendar as the shadow first, because we know the only thing that creates a shadow is the light. And when atomic energy shines its light upon anything, its radiance upon anything that's matter, solids, liquids, and gases, that's mass, weight, and occupied space, it's going to create a shadow. Now, you ask yourself, what is the shadow? You don't know. Nobody knows. I don't know. Nobody knows the shadow. Of course we know. My ancestors knew what the shadow, knew what everything was. But you're not going to know. All you got to do is applicate the esoterical principles and its function within the order of existence. And you understand that the shadow becomes, if the sun produces the shadow, that means the sun is a helium atom, which has a proton, neutron, surrounded by a nucleus, has an electron, makes it atomic energy. And so it becomes atomic energy. And when this light shines upon anything, it creates a shadow. You don't know what the shadow is, but if it got too hot out, I bet you climb in that shadow for some shade to get cool, right? So if the sun creates the shadow be the cue for your diligence and integrity. The shadow the sun hits the object, which is matter. Matter, science. Remember, we're doing science, we're doing math, and our cultural, cosmic, collective conscious spirituality. So when the light radiates anything, it creates a shadow. So if the sun is atomic energy, obviously the shadow becomes subatomic. Once you start to understand the frequencies, you could feel these things. You'll start to feel a little twinge behind the back of your head. What's that? That's your pineal gland. It's secreting the fluids now. You start feeling tingles down your back. That's your chakras. They're igniting. Sometimes you just get all these goosebumps. You think they're great, no goosebumps. That's the energy. That's the frequency. That's the vibration. That's your communication with the cosmic tapestry. You just don't remember. I'm only here to help you remember. And it all begins with understanding time. What is time? Time is the movement or measurement of the light through the void of deep, dark, cold space from one point or distance to another. Its speed is 186,000 miles per second. Light is the absence of darkness, and darkness is the absence of light. Light is the giver of Ankh, life, to all things upon the terrestrial plane within the atomic domain. Ankh, life, is the consciousness and awareness of being. Ankh, life, is the generic expression of the light, and it's only found in three forms: solids, liquids, and gases. Matter, the elements, nature, the neterus, the gods and goddesses. However, the light, Kepra, atomic energy, is not the origins of existence in the creation and development of the universe. The light has a mirrored reflection, which is radiation. And this is what when you understand radiation is the cosmic egg. Radiation is the primeval germ. Radiation is Ra Nepetesha Ra. And scientifically, you can prove this by simply Googling CBR. Interference, exactly. Interference, exactly. CBR is cosmic background radiation, or CBMR, cosmic background microwave radiation. NASA took the picture with the Kobe satellite. They found an egg-shaped anomaly in the center of the universe. They used the Kobe satellite, COBE. However, my naga, it's the cosmic egg. I know who that is. See, that's right. And it's in the book. It's all in the book. My book, The Cosmic Egg, Primeval Germ, Journey of 59 plus 20. I gave it to all the Sebas, all the masters. Not one of them could read the book. You can't, I haven't met any, I met less than 10 people who have read that whole book. I've read it again, over and over again. It keeps me charged up to remember. I can't know where the thoughts came from. This book explains the origins of existence cosmically. It's a cosmic revelation. It's a cosmic thought. Everything is cosmic, but you can't get to the cosmic level until you pass the atomic level. You have to present yourself to the cosmic forces that allow you love, guidance, protection to the daily experience upon little matter, to the experience, this experience of this existence, which you call life. We call it being. So it's like this symbol here. It's like the symbol of the Ankh. Oh, this means life. It does not mean life. Your teachers lied to you again. It does mean life, but that's not all it means. Just like the calendar. They gave you a solar civil lunar calendar, but yet they're going to teach you about a lunar cycle calendar. That's never going to let your mind grow. It's always limitations. It's always substandard. We keep reading it. It's always substandard. This does not mean life. It does mean life, but it doesn't mean life. Because our cultural, cosmic, collective conscious spirituality is based upon the doctrines of Maat and the concept of self-creation. So if it's based upon the concept of self-creation, which they don't teach you, they will not even mention it in none of the teachings. I'm still reading it. Yes, sir. Dua paratapu pamaran costa jeron kujasaneb ubenapike parabu rumati kwami dua siba. They will not teach you. Let's look at the Ankh. First of all, when you look at it, it's broken down into 4 components. The 4 components, remember, when you break this down, the same way we break conversation down, it has to be applied with your sacred science, your divine math, and your cultural, cosmic, collective, conscious spirituality, and you triangulate. It's always triangulate. Remember, when the police are looking for you right now, you know how they're going to find you? Scientifically, mathematically, yes. You know how they're going to find you right now? They're going to ping you right off of a telephone pole. They're going to ping you off a telephone pole and triangulate your location. They're using your science against you every day. So let's break it down. Now, the circle is 1. The 2 arms is 2. 1, 2, that's 3. And then the stem is 4. Now, scientifically, it represents the primordial field forces. You have 4 primordial field forces in science: electromagnetism, weak force, strong force, and gravity. Now, you explain it scientifically. Now you have to break it down mathematically. Mathematically, the Creator has 4 attributes of manifestation. These 4 attributes are, the first is Temu. Temu means Temu in Medunetta means thought. Temu in Medunetta means to think. Temu in Medunetta means to plan, not Atum. they keep putting, every time you see a picture of the creation of the Egyptian cosmology, they keep putting Atum up there. Atum is not is not subatomic. Atum is atomic energy. Atum Ra is the sun. Anything that relates to the sun is atomic. Atomic energy cannot exist inside the universe because that's subatomic. The light cannot exist there as a stable atom. It's there, it's just not stable. This our sun, the light, our sun Ra, is a stable hydrogen atom. That stable hydrogen atom cannot exist in the universe. But we're going to get to the universe in a minute. So now, 4 attributes, right? Electromagnetism, weak force, gravity, and a strong force. Okay? So that's the way it goes sequentially. Okay? So now we got the 4, now mathematically, the 4 attributes of manifestation around Nebuchadnezzar. We have Temu, we think.
Before you do the 4 attributes, could you drink some water, please?
Yes. Thank you. You want to break up the schematic, the 4 green schematics? The order of creation. Yes, the order of existence. Because I made a lot of claims just then, so we're going to have to go into the, we'll go into the 10 months of the year on our next segment, because I think we're going to be winding this down in about another 45 minutes. We want to make sure everybody I can take them from the atomic plane and bring them to the subatomic level.
You want to share which schematics again? Which ones did you say?
The attributes of manifestation around Nebuchadnezzar, the green pictures. The green pictures, and then the one that has Ra Nebuchadnezzar in the middle with the 4 attributes around it. So we can continue this story because we're breaking down this Ankh. Because I just made I just claimed to understand that this does not mean life. This does not mean Ankh. Ankh, this does not mean Ankh. This does not mean life. Ankh does not mean life, first of all. Ankh is a misinterpretation. It's been translated and reinterpreted as life. This does not mean life in Meduneta. This means being. It means being, okay? Life. If this means life and the sun gives you life, but if that sun turns into a supernova and it implodes and explodes and no more light can come on this planet because the earth is destroyed, that means there's no more life on this planet, but there's still existence. So if Ra doesn't exist, that means life doesn't exist on this planet, but there's still existence. So remember, this is esoterical profound knowledge. You have to be able to explain it all because our ancestors and the time that we're living in right now, as we made a complete 26,000-year cycle around the phenomenal precession to each and every sign of the zodiac, we return to ground zero. This means everything that is, was, and shall be is now being filtered right through this whole atmosphere, the stratosphere, the ionosphere. Everything is being electromagnetized. Okay? All you have to do is frequentize yourself, because I'm only here to help you remember. I'm only here to help you remember. Now, you could say this is life, because some people can't understand more than that. But when you start to deal with your cultural, cosmic, collective conscious spirituality, when you ascertain cosmic awareness, spiritual consciousness, and universal enlightenment, there we go. That's oblivion. That's the first picture, right? Oblivion. Now take us to the next picture, right? So first, when you understand how this doesn't mean life, you have to understand how existence began. Here it is right here. Here's the first part. Then in the middle, you just see that little red spot. That's interference. Okay, interference would be translated into cosmic universal capacitance, which is Maat, meaning it must alter, change, and rearrange. This is universal Maat. Okay, so the first picture is oblivion. Oblivion is a place of perpetual continuance where particles of existence are reduced to its lowest common denominator, invisible strings and strands. It is a form of existence that connects the concept of subspansion and expansion. Its boundaries are endless and ever-reaching, indicating that it is the inner cover of this universe of radiation and light and the outer cover of this universe of dualism. This is the place of the all of alls, the holy of holiest that sandwiches the universe of radiation and light. This qualifies it as the place or plane where matter can be reduced, absorbed, and then stored for the purpose of continuous perpetuation, where particles of the light are collected for the redistribution process involved in continuous evolutions. This is how our most earliest ancient African indigenous primordial ancestors perceived, related, equated oblivion. Then we have the next state is the development is called interference. Interference, this is our scientific explanations all right here. I'm just trying to break all this science down so we can get into our cultural spirituality, so we get deep into our story. Interference is the principle or spirit that is the one constant that affects change in the ever-changing universe. It is the spirit of continuation and development. It is the force that causes change and alteration. With its presence, the universe is forced to alter, change, and rearrange. Water that is found in three forms, solid, liquid, and gases, are elements that bears witness to interference. Changes in nature occur at random, caused by storm, drought, or environmental relapse. Interference is all of these things. It is the reasons for the colors of light. It is the reason that radiation radiates. It is the master of death. It cannot die. There is no force in the universe that is older than this. Before radiation, it was only oblivion, and the spirit of interference existed then. The spirit cannot be isolated from anything. It has something to do with everything. Next is so we go from dark energy. Oh, this is what they got in science for you. Dark energy, dark matter, radiation, and dark radiation. Dark radiation is called the black holes of galaxies. That's what makes the universe expand. Then you got radiation is the cosmic egg. So we have the picture of the cosmic egg. Queen Mother, do you have a picture of the cosmic egg there? If not, leave that there. So the next force we deal with is the innerverse. So there's an outer verse. We live in the outer verse, which is the expanding universe, which is atomic energy. And then we're breaking down the dynamics and properties of the universe. And we know that, boom, the universe is expanding from something. What is it expanding from? It's expanding from the egg, the primeval germ. This primeval germ is encompassed within another ring. This ring inside this ring is called the innerverse. And the innerverse is a place of subatomic emissions where particles of repulsive energy are converted into a form of digestive radiation that is absorbed by the self-created one, Ra Never Teshuvah, to allow continuous growth and perpetual evolution. So now we have the cosmic egg, radiation. What is radiation? Radiation is an energy form that is a result of a supernatural phenomenon, a universal metamorphosis involving beginnings and endings. It is the molecular appearance from the source of all creation. It is the force that allows the universe to expand outwardly and uniformly. It is a living, growing force, and because of this, it was thought to be a germ, the germ of life, the primeval germ of existence. So when you start to break these components down, we're able to understand. So now we go to the strong force. The strong force is the next scientific explanation and definition for this symbol that we call Ankh, which means being. Ankh means being, not life. Okay, because you have to acquire this ability to experience the phenomenon of being, which is the same experience that the Creator became to express at the moment that she came into being. So first you must release yourself. Then you must seek out yourself. Through our Queen Mother. Let me just hold it. Can you turn my mic off for a minute, Queen Mother?
Yes, your mic is off, Seba. You ready, Seba?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
I apologize. So now let's break it down. Let's stay with the force. Let's stay with the rhythm now. These are the four attributes of manifestation of Ra Never Teshuvah. It's also the four primordial field forces of existence, which is electromagnetism, weak force, strong force, and gravity. Now we look at it. So the four attributes of manifestation, there we go right there. That's Ra Never Teshuvah. If that's the schematic or the photo that you're going to see, I designed that for my own intellectual properties from the Tesha Ra, the Church of the Holy House of Ra. And what you see at the top, you see Kepra with the sun disk. That's the weak force. Then you see the human face, and there's an arm coming up, and he's thinking. Here is, you see the form of the thinker, just like that statue you see in front of universities, the guy they call the thinker. They stole that. You know, they stole that out of Kemet. But this is what thinking means. It means to think. It means Temu, Temu and Medunetta. Everything must relate to the Medunetta, or it's not balanced in Ma'at. Now you're going to see that all these explanations can be weighed in the balance of Ma'at, and the scale doesn't lie. Okay, I'm only here to help you remember. This is Temu. Temu is the first attribute of manifestation around the Teshuvah, which is implemented inside of this Ankh symbol, this sacred symbol. So here's Temu, to think. Then he spoke his name, so he had to plan. He had to think. He became thought. That thought is equated to mentalism. Mentalism scientifically is equated to electromagnetism. Then we know energy that is collected, absorbed, and then stored must be released. And so when he released the energy, because motion is a requirement in the separating of the collective energy contained within a motionless cold void, such as nu, primary ocean nothingness, dark energy, the cosmological constant, or dark, or oblivion, okay, or the cosmological constant. So now, after the Creator thought it out, the Creator said in the Medunetta text, he says, "I spoke my name as a word of power." So his name, here we come back to the Medunetta, because name in Medunetta is the mouth with the water sign underneath it, Ren, R-N. And if you turn it upside down, you got N-A, which is Ner. And Ner means energy. So when the Creator spoke her name as a word of Usa, power, he opened the door, because this energy that's collected, absorbed, and stored has to be released. So he released himself, because he's acquiring this ability to experience the phenomenon of being. This is what we're trying to say. So in order for you to interpret this Ankh, you have to go cosmic. You can't explain this like in the beginning there was a light, and the light was good, and it was the first day, and and the water moved. And this is not no comic book. This is our cultural, cosmic, collective, conscious spirituality. You have to applicate the cosmic thought. You got to explain this scientifically, mathematically, with our cultural spirituality, with astrology and astronomy, with absolute accountability and star validation. So the Creator energy, we know through cosmic principles, that energy that's collected, absorbed, and then stored, molecules and sensitive to light, sound, and vibration. And we know that energy is collected, absorbed, and then stored must be released. And then when he released the energy, which was his name, the name became a sound. And the sound became a wave. The wave became a perturbation. This is perturbation, the heartbeat. That's perturbation. The sound became perturbation. The perturbation became a frequency. This frequency permeated throughout everything in that void. And so now the Creator opened the door. So the second attribute of manifestation would be Ptah. Ptah in Medunetta means the door. Ptah in Medunetta means the opener. Ptah in Medunetta means he or she who opens. So when the head door opened, and as you see the picture showing the schematic, Queen Mother Goddess, you'll see the legs of Ptah, the white mummified legs coming down is the legs of Ptah. Ptah becomes the second attribute of manifestation. It becomes the second field force, which is the strong force. Now, Ptah, now the Creator says, he says, I am he, she who existed in the primary most. This is the pyramid text, by the way. Known as written spoken text, known on this planet. Okay, this is coming from the Mastaba text to the pyramid text at the beginning, at the beginning of our cultural spirituality, its birth pot. We knew of this, of our story of the creation of the universe, as described by Rana Teshuvah. And in the pyramid text says, yes.
Just so you know, we can still hear you, but you sound like you're on a speakerphone. You're not as clear as you were.
I need to slow my voice down. Okay, so we know that the Creator said, I am he, she who existed in the primeval ocean of nothingness, eons and eons of evolutions ago, before the beginnings of time. When I thought, see, here's the mathematics. When I thought that the moment it comes, he's giving you the rhyme and the reason. In the Medunetta, you have to understand it stands in mute testimony. You have to extract it. You have to extract it and then deduce it and then break it down through primordial temple discipline. The Greeks aren't going to do that for you, because they do that for you. That's going to put them at the bottom of the chain. the food chain. Right? So now we know the Creator said, when I thought the moment had come, here he is temple. He said, when I thought the moment had come, I fashioned my mouth and I uttered my name as a word of power. With this power, that was my birthright. I fashioned myself in forms. This is what he said, I fashioned myself in forms. In mental netta. Okay, so now he says, when I thought this moment had come, I fashioned my mouth and I uttered my name as a word of power. With this power that was my birthright, I fashioned myself in forms from out of primary nothing. He says, she says, I was alone at this time. There were none others with me then. I am the beginnings of time, which began when I took form and commanded the power. He says, she says then, now it came to pass that I found no place upon which I could stand. So I straightway brought forth from my own mind and thoughts the primeval mound from out of the primeval ocean of nothingness. Being that I was alone at this time, it pleased me to make others. So I went from being nature 1 to nature 3. I made these beings in the manner in which all things are made. I, Ra Never Teshuvah, the he, the she, the mother and father of all existence. I embrace my shadow and I grasp my member and I love myself. I issue forth the nature shoe and I multiply his forms millions and millions of times. I gathered a portion of the remains and I swallowed them and spat forth tephra. They are my heart and soul, twins born of the same birth. Where you find the 1, you find the 3. For the 3 is of the 1, the 1 is of the 3. She was definitely had union, gave birth to 7, the earth, and Nut, the sky. 7 Nut had union, gave birth to the 5 earth, the Jews. Her were Asar, Sut, Ast, and Nev. And Asar and Ast gave birth to Heter, and Heter gave birth to the Shemsu Heter. Okay, so that's just partially the story from Brazil. We got all the way down to the calendar part. So that's how you.
Okay, and see, but your sound is starting to fade. It never recovered.
Okay, all right, well that's not good. So I'm gonna leave the room, come back.
And we have like 8 minutes left in our 2-hour time as well.
Yes, okay. That's how long we've been talking. Okay, I'm gonna leave the room right now. Come back and we can talk about the next week, and we can talk about. I want to just, I want to finish this off real quick though. I just made a bold statement saying this doesn't mean all. I like to make sure that the family, the Rametch, that I can explain to the Rametch scientifically, sacred science and divine math, and what I call spirituality, why this doesn't mean all. And if you believe it as a monk, then you set yourself upon a limitation and you'll never achieve the ability to experience the phenomenon of being. You will always maintain yourself in mental incarceration and be servants, somebody's servants. When we're all supposed to be Nagas, we're all supposed to be Shemsurus, we're all supposed to be the Metia, the Metia, the Nagachuna, we're all supposed to be the one who is going to save all our children, all our melanated people all over this planet because of the new age of star gospel in opposition within the phenomenon of recession, within this golden notice of 26,000 years. So I'm going to fall back, I'm going to leave and come back, okay, Queen Mother?
Yes, Seba. All right, everyone. So Seba will be back shortly. And while he does that, I'd like to recap for those who missed how to get their calendar. I'm going to share that information now. Along with your calendar, you will receive a PDF copy of the Cosmic Egg, which Seba has mentioned. You will also receive your calendar autographed, and you will receive the audio CD, which played in the first part of this series today, segment 2. So Seba Ptah Seeker Asar has returned, and he is here with us now, drinking his water. And he'll be closing out the show today as well.
Yes, and
Dua
Queen Mother Goddess, Paratapa Maat, AstMaatTfNut. Remember, AstMaatTfNut, Joy Allen, is performing we are on her platform. So if anyone seeks to donate $1, please donate $5. Do not let me have to go into your marijuana stash and get y'all to donate this money. Now, I don't want to bring y'all over here. Oh man, that's heavy, y'all. Oh man, he's really good. He's heavy. Yeah. All that smoke you smoking. Take that card out and send her some money to Joy Allen right here. There's her. Don't send me no. I don't want no money. Send the money to the Queen Mother Goddess. This is her platform so that she can continue bringing you what we want to bring you, which is your divine birthright of immortality. I'm not begging you for nothing. Support the Queen Mother Goddess because she's here to bring all the information to you. And we especially appreciate the Queen Mother Goddess because they're the ones that are going to nurture the children. We got the men also, but sometimes we're on our little hustle thing. And we don't, a lot of time expires when we go on that hustle thing. But right now, you can forget about your hustle thing. Forget about sending the kids back to school because that COVID virus is not going to let you allow you to bring your child into school anymore. Everything is going to be taught online. And in saying that, please donate to the Queen Mother Goddess. We went 2 hours without even asking for a dime. Okay. In our next episode, within a few days, we're going to come back and break down, since we went through Ancient Khemetic and we went through the mathematics of the time, of the calendar, of the Ipetru, of the Sba-t Maat. Now, the next time we come back, we're going to break down the color code, because our ancestors left everything is in a star code, in a color code, and it's in the Medunetta, and it's a frequency. This is all frequency. I can tell you what time it is. You have to look. Most of us, when we learn, have to learn how to read the mathematical equations in the bottom. But for those who are seasoned search seekers, can look at the color. Yes, thank you. Can look at the color part of the stars at the top and the 3 registers at the top. If you see the top, there's 3 registers. And these 3 registers correspond to the legend. The legend is the spherical diagram that's on the back of the calendar, and they have rings. You have the outer ring. The outer ring is the phenomenon of precession, the 26,000-year cycle, or the movement through the zodiac. And it also represents the movement through the sign. You see the color code to be yellow, then brown, then silver, then blue. Fire, earth, air, water. Fire, earth, air, water. And especially you Queen Mother Goddess who are teaching astrology, right there it is right there. That's the schematic. So when you take the first month and above that picture in the middle, you see the star. That star represents Sba-t. And underneath the Sba-t is the ring, is the circular ring for the months of the year, the 10 months of the year. And so right there. And so the blue part is Jehuti. So that star is on the first day of the first month of Jehuti. Now she keeps going down underneath the star. Go back to the star. Now go down underneath and down to the next register to that sun. That's the first inner ring. The first inner ring has the 9 days a week. 9 days, 9 days, 9 days, 9 days. 4 9 days, 4 times 9 is 36. So that first day where that star's at is where the Renpet or the Helical rising. So you're able to interpret and to identify and to perpetuate your frequencies and vibration just off of this schematic, off of this divine picture here. It's in a color code. Everything's in a color code. It's in a sound code. It's in a star code. It's a star code and a color code and sound code. Everything's because it's all vibrations. And this is part of our divine, cultural, cosmic, collective consciousness spirituality. And it's in the Medunetta. Learn how to read, write, speak, teach, and translate Medunetta. Most people know how to read, write, speak Medunetta, but they know Chapalion. They know God in the sign list. They know E.A. Wallace Buzz. They know Rising. They know Petrie. They know all the foreign corrupted people who don't want you to get the full meaning of what the Medunetta really means. For example, the earth is called Seb. But if you studied under Bulge, the British, the late keeper of antiquities of the British Museum, you would call him Geb with a G. And if you was turned that from the Germans, Birch or Birches, you would call them Keb with a K. So why do they? Because they distort the etymology and its pronunciation so that you don't produce the proper frequency. It's resonance, it's sounds, it's wave, which create telluric forces and vibrations, which stimulate the air around you. So if we know that the earth is Seb, and Seb means solid, then we spell it backwards as Bes, and Bes means fire. So we know Seb is the proper way to pronounce it in our through antiquity, or our indigenous sounds from its generical extraction. We know that Seb is the proper way to pronounce the name when you evoke the earth and her powers and of life and energy. You don't call him Keb. You don't call him Geb, because you're a foreigner. You're perpetrating a fraud. You're a violator. We call you violators. You're violators, right? The cosmic forces are not responding to violations. They perform to frequencies. And so, but when you say Seb, and you know behind, and you spell it backwards, it means Bes. We know that Bes means fire, and we know within the center of the earth, there's a ball of fire. There's a ball of fire that's making the earth spin. So this has a generic frequency, because we know there's a ball of fire in the earth, and that's Bes, and we spell it backwards as Seb. So this is why we know that this is the true way. This isn't just Ptah making something up. This is me. This is the ancestor. It's like the word Ptah. Ptah means the door. Ptah means to open. Ptah means he or she who opens. And we know that you spell Ptah backwards, it means Hotep. And Hotep means offerings. Hotep means peace. So Ptah becomes the destructive force in creation, because in the beginning, there was energy, thought, feeling, and non-motion. And then the creator spoke his and her name as a Usamedu Nefehekau, divine words of power, and this name became motion. So we went from energy, thought, feeling, and non-motion to energy, thought, feeling, motion. Remember, energy that is collected, absorbed, and then stored must be released. And this is how the process all began. So we'll get back to the breaking down the arc, because it's going to take time for you to digest this one. I know y'all like, he just said it didn't mean arc. My teacher said it. Yeah. Tell your teacher to come see me. Matter of fact, tell all your teachers to come see me. I am up to my neck with your teachers. Okay? Believe me, they've already taken me out of the Khemetic community. I got a mathematical equation of 9 days. It's not 9 days in a week. They're going to tell me there's not 9 days in a week. And everyone on the planet who has a half a brain in their culture knows that there's 9 days in a week. And they knew that the African people, who are the Shemsurus, had invented and came up with this equation of 9. Everybody knows there's 9 days in a week but us. The Khemetic community will not tell you that there's 9 days in a week. They're going to tell you it's 10. So if there's 10 days in a week and there's 3 weeks in a month, that means there's 30 days in a month. And we already know that any mathematical equation that comes up with the number 30, it means it's lunar. It's based upon the cycles of the moon. It's a violation to just give me a lunar cycle equation, because you're here to steal my mind as a melanated person. So this is how you have to be able to respond to it in a cosmic manner. You don't respond to this with common sense. The Greeks are fond of logic. They have common sense. We don't have common sense. We have cosmic sense. You have to begin to differentiate yourself from these scholars. You think because you went to school, you got smart, you got stupid. You got more stupid. All you got is an acronym behind you to help Hellenize and lobotomize the rest of your people. It's called contraband. Contraband is when you have African people or melanated people conditioning other melanated people into mental, physical, spiritual, subjugated slavery. They don't even have to condition us no more. We condition our own self. They don't have to keep feeding us that slop no more. We eat that slop every day. We go to the corner store and eat. The stuff in the corner store is not even considered food. The food in your supermarket today, the regular supermarket in our communities, is not even real food. It's all synthetic foods. You go outside to the other communities. You know what community I'm talking about. Look what they're eating. They got fresh fruits, fresh broccoli. Nothing's in a bag. Nothing has sodium in it. They don't eat what we eat. So energy has a color. Yes, it does, Queen Mother Goddess, Lakita Bird. Yes, it does. And then when you understand the colors, you understand that there's three primordial colors that makes up all the colors in the color spectrum. You got the color spectrum of atomic energy, which is the energy light that you see here on the earth. You know, red, you know, the color of the rainbow, the color spectrum. But when you go into space, they have subatomic colors. So when you see the colors of black, faint white, blue, when you see the colors of when you see the colors, I'm sorry, my battery's getting ready to go down too, so we're at the end of the show. But when you see the colors of atomic energy, red, yellow, orange, green, blue, that's atomic energy on the color spectrum. But when you see black, white, faint blue, orange, faint green, red, green, these are subatomic colors. So we're talking subatomic energies, and then you have the sounds. You got three sounds that make three primordial sounds that make up the whole sound on the musical notes. You got three colors when you're painting. There are three colors that you can make up to make every color in the spectrum. All you need is three primary colors that you can make all the colors. So these take the Gregorian down from you. Yes, take down the Gregorian calendar from your wall. This is Ptah Asar with the Queen Mother Goddess AstMaatTfNut here again for another segment of The Precious Treasure, Immortality. Remember, this is sponsored by the Nagaship Association and the Nagatian Institute of Cosmic Awareness, Spiritual Consciousness, and Universal Enlightenment. And we still didn't even bring Ramotep is going to be with us next week. He's going to give you the star of your birth. He's going to realign you to your true birthday, because you think that this month now is Virgo, when actually Leo is in the sky. This is not Virgo. This is the zodiac sign of Ast, or Virgo. You know as Virgo. We know as Ast. This is the sign of Helical and Sekhmet, which you know as Leo. Because when you look at the sky and you look to the south, you're going to see the constellation of Leo. Where's Virgo? So the Earth is tilted 23.5 degrees from vertical, makes it wobble, but there's magnetic north. Magnetic north is always moving. And right now, magnetic north has shifted a few degrees. And these few degrees has altered our vision of the zodiac sign. They got us moving 30 days behind on the zodiac sign. You think, I thought I was a Leo on July 28th, and I got Kepra, Cancer, that's known as Cancer. We got Kepra rising. I'm looking at Kepra, wondering where's Leo at? It's not in the sky. They took it away from you. So you have to realign yourself. You have to recalibrate yourself to a cosmic algorithm. So we'll get back to everybody. We hope this part of the show get back to the three colors. I'm going to try. We're going to try. We'll get back to the three colors on our next broadcast, Queen Mother Goddess. But I want everybody to send a donation to the Queen Mother Goddess, Maat Sekhmet, who is known as Joy Allen. There's her Facebook. There's her Facebook at Joy, her Twitter, and there's her Cash App. See her Cash App and her PayPal me? That's it. On the bottom right line there. Please donate. And don't forget to buy your Rasaurian Calendar Solar Silver Lunar Calendar. She has an SK. She is an official global distributor of the Ancient Rasaurian Khemetic Solar Silver Lunar Calendar, the Methodological Star Timeline. You can order it online and also get, with the bundle package, you get a free CD audio recording of the Ipetru Shabitan Tuaru Pamat, and also we add a free PDF file copy of my book, The Cosmic Egg, aka The Primeval Germ, a journey of 59 plus 21 zeros. And I'm going to throw it back to the Queen Mother Goddess so she can close the show out. Atumra.
Well, well, he's here. He's just not in his chair. He's there. So yes, we will be back in a few days. Looking forward to having Sba Ramotep join us as well. And I want to thank everyone who's here with us. I saw not only Sba Ramotep here with us today, but Sba Duncan G is here as well. And we will continue to do all that we do to bring you this knowledge, to bring you our story. And again, we'll see you in a few days. Not sure which day. Definitely it will be Tuesday or after Tuesday. So we'll see you then. Peace to everyone. Atum Rahotep.
Panata Bupa Maat, Uncle Sba-t, Uncle Jalsaneb, Ubina Fikir Panebu Haru Ma'ati, rising always in divine excellence with Ma'at all day,